This week I really wanted to do more sketchbook sessions, and I wanted to take you along with me and share my thoughts around creating art and finding my artistic voice. I really want to make more art, and I want to do this for two different reasons. The first is that art makes me see and find the beauty in life, and as cringy as it may sound, creating art makes me really, really happy. I feel like it's my calling or mission, or however you want to say it. The second is I want to be a full-time artist and be able to live off my art. To do this, I need to do many things, lots of stuff that I'm still discovering and researching. But in terms of the art itself, I really want to develop my skill and find my artistic voice, that element that makes my art feel like it's mine. One of the reasons why I started this YouTube channel is to document this journey. I've so far only documented my art journey through Instagram, which definitely has its limitations. The biggest one for me is being influenced by the platform to present my work in a certain way. This is because Instagram really compensates things like sticking to a specific niche and consistency in presentation, etc, etc. And although I actually see a lot of value in the platform as an artist, I think that I've begun creating specifically for Instagram versus creating art as a form of like expressing myself. So I really want to break away from this pattern and just start painting and creating more and thinking less about it. I went to the park on one of those late afternoons in October where the shadows are really long and the afternoon light is really special, and I was able to take some really nice reference photos. When I saw this light, I felt an urge to capture it. I have such a soft spot for sunlight hitting things and creating shadows. I really, really wanted to capture the light and the beauty of the dappled effect on the grass. I wanted to be looser in the way I painted to communicate the flow of light and also eliminate any stiffness from the painting. The thing with posting art on Instagram is that I haven't really explored as much as I want to. I think I'm almost scared to break away from the usual style that I do, which is very counterproductive to my whole mission of finding my artistic voice. And I really want to try different mediums and just experiment a lot more with how I approach painting or creating things. I really love how this turned out. I love the looser approach that I did, and I also enjoyed the process so much. So when I look at this, I'm reminded of that enjoyment that I felt, and I think that's really special. On Tuesday, I started a second piece from that same afternoon that I went to the park. I took this reference photo and I really loved the different textures that were present. So on embarking this journey of finding my artistic voice, I thought I would set some goals for myself. And the first goal was to try and create art every day. And the second was to put as much focus as possible on the process of creation rather than the outcome. The first goal is something I've spent some time building up. I have an almost daily art habit, but the second goal on focusing on the process was much more challenging, as I had to recenter myself every time my mind started fast forwarding to how the piece will look and whether or not it would be good enough to post on Instagram, which is something that I really fall into every time I'm painting. But once I reeled myself back into the process and focused on capturing what I wanted to capture, it really felt so wonderful. And I found myself really excited to see how the paint was coming together in order to communicate the feeling of the scene. And I think this is going to be one of the ways that I really lean into my artistic voice, is kind of finding what makes me happy in creating the art. If I focus more on that, on the creation part, I think I'm gonna fall into, or at least go down the path of getting closer to what it is that I'm meant to create, if that makes sense. This is how the second piece turned out, and it was much more challenging than the first because of all the different elements, but I really also enjoyed the process of this piece, and I felt like I learned a lot actually when painting it. After I had painted those two park scenes, I really wanted to do a more small and delicate study. So I found this reference photo that I took in the summer of a pear tree, and I approached it in a less loose way than I did with the landscapes, because that's what I really felt like doing, and I wanted to follow that feeling in honor of my goals for the week. I really love this style of illustration, which has some elements of realism, but you can also clearly see it's an illustration because of the more squared edges and the flat colours of the leaves. I also like playing with not finishing the piece and doing kind of like these unfinished edges around the illustration. After all the painting, I was really craving doing some drawing, something that I haven't really done much of, again for those same reasons of falling into that niche on Instagram, where I found it hard to explore away from gouache painting. But I just did this mini copy of the pear painting in a colour pencil. I don't think it looked that great, and I felt very rusty with rendering in pencil, but I do love drawing, so I was happy to do it. And then on Thursday, I felt inspired to do more drawing, so I went outside to do some plein air drawing, which is so much harder than it looks, so I can't imagine what painting outside is like. I think I lasted maybe around 20-ish minutes because I found it kind of hard to focus. However, in terms of creativity, I actually felt like adding variety to how I created this week was so good, because mentally I started to break away from the usual pattern of what making art looks like for me. And I think this is very positive. Overall, this felt like a good week of art for me, and I definitely noticed the difference of even filming for YouTube versus filming for Reels on Instagram. There's something about long form content that allows you to present things in a less than perfect way and be more nuanced, and I also think that because I want to use YouTube to capture my journey of developing as an artist, rather than having to showcase perfectly finished pieces of work, it's going to allow me to experiment and explore more, so I'm excited for that. Thanks for following along my week, and if you got this far and you have your own tips on your art journey, please share them with me. I love to hear other people's journeys with art practice. I hope you have a really great and creative week, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.